So thanks for inviting me. I'm Brad Roy, Emergency Management Director for the City of Ely. Yeah. So like I said, I got invited, and I just wanted to touch on some of the basics that we have within the City of Ely to try and help out with different needs. So within the City of Ely, we have several different options to get information. So the first one, and the one we'll touch on the most, is going to be the evacuation mapping. I think it was last year with St. Louis County, we actually created a mapping system. I don't know if you saw it with the wildfires previously in the area, but that is the same thing we did within the city limits. Radio stations, another good source of information when an emergency happens. We will make sure we get that out to not only the local radio station, but 97.9 and 99.9 and anybody else that could be local as well. We have phone alerts. We'll get more into that later on here, but the phone alerts we have within the City of Ely is called Northland Alerts. If you haven't signed up for it, I highly encourage it. And I'll kind of walk you through that here in a little bit. Social media. Social media is another big one. We have the City of Ely and the Ely Police Department. That's a good source of information on Facebook, as well as the City of Ely website. And the other one I added in there when an event is happening is the in-person briefings. It depends on the situation, but typically it's at least once a day, and there will be information on where that'll happen. Most likely it'll be City Hall, but that is a great source to get real-time information right away. So this is what the City of Ely evacuation maps looks like. As you can kind of see here, there's multiple different zones that you are in. There's also a handout over there if you'd like to grab one. So this is real-time mapping. So anytime we have an evacuation happening, you can go in there, type in your address, and it'll tell you if you need to evacuate or not. So that can be found on the city website under emergency preparedness, or you can type in that website at the bottom. So we use the feature called Know Your Zone. So we have actually zone A through F within the City of Ely. G is kind of reserved for something else, just in case. So within this, we have, when an incident is happening, we have shelter locations, evacuation routes, and then the ready, set, go. Within my planning, we do have shelter locations and evacuation routes. We do not share that with the public until an emergency happens, simply because we don't know where it's going to come from. If a fire breaks out on the far east side of town and we have an evacuation route going right through a fire or a blowdown, that causes a lot of confusion. So we do have a lot of established shelter places and locations, but that will be messaged out to everybody when the incident's occurring. So, as we touched on previously, we have zones A through F within the city. Those can be broken down into subzones, and we can make them smaller. But if you go ahead of time and you look and find out what your zone is, it will always be the same zone. It just might be broken into a subzone. So if you're always in zone A, it might turn into A1, A2, A3, just depending on who we're evacuating and what the level is. So just make sure you're aware of that. We also have the ready, set, go. So the city of Ely, we also worked with St. Louis County Emergency Management on this. We also are under the model of the ready, set, go. So when an incident is occurring, and you're in the ready phase. So basically what that is you just need to make sure that your evacuation plan within your family and your friends is established, and just start gathering emergency supplies. That's the biggest thing, is be aware that these situations can either happen very quickly or very slow. But just getting yourself prepared, maybe collecting some things from the house, getting them in bags, getting a vehicle ready, that is the main thing with ready. All right, and then the next one is set. So set would be, you're getting very close to evacuating. I personally recommend that if you're in the set, have your car in your driveway, packed up, getting ready to go, because you have to go at a moment's notice. If you feel that you need to leave, I would recommend that you can leave. If you feel as though it's not safe, you can go ahead and go at that point. So your 6 Ps, this is kind of to help you prepare, kind of what things to gather, if time allows. So people and pets, of course, that's the most important thing to get out and get out safely. But if you have the time, you want to grab some pictures and some things that are irreplaceable, memories, photos, things like that. Computers, hard drives, and then your important documents, whether that's your ID, passports, anything like that. And that would also include, your plastics, your cash, your credit cards, things like that. We sometimes don't know when you're going to come back. So it's always good to try and prepare for a longer evacuation. And of course, your prescriptions and medications. So. And then the go. When you are in a go, that means an evacuation needs to happen immediately. Hopefully we've had enough time and the fires or the danger is moving slow enough that we can go through all 3. But this is when you need to evacuate immediately. Within your family and friends, have a pre-planned evacuation location, whether that's a cabin, whether that's just a meeting point somewhere out of town, and go to that location. Make sure that all your windows and doors are closed, but please leave them unlocked. This helps to have the firefighters do their job more efficiently, and overall it's just safer. We have to go through every building to make sure that nobody's inside. So the easiest thing for us to do is just open the door and make sure nobody's inside instead of kicking in your front door. And then you have to replace that anyway. Also, please leave the exterior lights on when you leave as well. So when we're fighting fires, I'm not a fire expert, but when they are fighting fires, it gets very dark and very smoky, and that will allow them to be able to see the residents, to create less of a danger for them. So please leave the lights on. Slide, please. All right, and then back to Northland Alert. So this is the best way you can be informed. We weren't cool enough to get up on the board there, but the city of Ely came into this program a little bit later. It is mostly maintained by St. Louis County, but we also do have access to it. It is a free subscription that you can go in and sign up for. And it's going to ask for just your name, and your location. So once you go in there on a web browser, it has to be on a web browser, not the application when you sign up for it. So when you go in there, you can actually click whether you want to do the city of Ely, the city of Duluth, or all of St. Louis County. That is where our main emergency messaging comes from. And you can get the alerts on email, you can get a phone call to your cell phone, to your home phone. And I believe, Gloria, I don't know if you remember, can you get text messages still on that? And you can get it via text as well. So that's the best way to stay informed. And I would highly recommend it. I will stick around afterwards if anybody wants to sign up. Just come on over and we'll get you signed up. And after you sign up, you don't have to do anything with it. That's the beauty of it. Within this too, people ask me a lot of times, well, we don't get many messages. That is the intention. It's kind of like an Amber Alert. That's how we treat it. We will only send you messages if it's a true emergency and fairly severe. So we're not going to be spamming you with a bunch of random phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning because your car's parked on the wrong side of the street. Promise that won't happen. Thanks. So. All right, and that's all I have.